What the fauna?
What the fauna?
What the fauna?
What the fauna?
All right.
And for those who do not know, fauna, the animal life on our
Yeah.
planet.
Because honestly, I think 80% of the population thinks that flora and fauna both mean plants.
I mean, they go together so well, so I can kind of get it. Like, I understand.
Yes.
And flora and fauna, are those Latin terms?
Probably.
I think so. Okay.
Greek or Latin.
Yeah, Greek or Latin. Everything comes from one of those, more or less. Sorry, don't come after me, Germans. I know your language is not come from anything other than, like, throwing things. Yeah, I don't know, scary. But welcome to What the Fauna, your wonderful and your favorite animal show, where every week we talk about an animal or animal-related topic. This week we are talking about a wonderfully cool animal that I can talk about all the time. Because I feel like, you know, I take that spirit animal thing kind of like bullshitty. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's your spirit animal, whatever. But this is kind of like my spirit animal. If I were to choose one, like if I had that ability, I would really choose this animal. They're really defined by the word grumpy. Maybe grumpy and violent. They're very, most of their interactions with humans and any other species involve being grumpy and violent. I
mean, it can be. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the conflict that comes in.
There's definitely some. I mean, this is not capybara cuddly territory.
Oh, no. Capybaras are like, well, capybaras scream from the water. But
they're so cute. But I love these guys too, because it's just like, it's the ultimate, like, does anybody listening remember the movie Falling Down? It was Michael Douglas, and it was just basically the worst possible day this guy had. He, like, lost his job. He was losing the rights to see his kids.
That's right.
And he just flips his shit. And he goes into McDonald's with, it was a baseball bat or a gun, and he's just like, give me breakfast.
Yes, he had a baseball bat.
That's what these guys.
He has a gun.
I think he does at some point.
Saw the whole movie. I just know scenes from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful movie. If you haven't seen it, go see Falling Down.
It might actually fit for today's day and age right now.
it will.
Happening going after society.
The guy he's done. He's fallen down as low as he pretty much feels he can, and he's done. And he almost like snaps. So today's animal is the Cape buffalo, which I feel like is on the verge of snapping all the time.
I view them as pretty chill most of the time. Like,
but I guess
the thing is, when
if you leave them alone,
they will fuck with you. It's I mean, it's like the bison here in the U.S. Don't pet them.
Right.
The bison here in the U.S. are not buffalo. By the way, we will point that out multiple times. They are not buffalo.
Cape buffalo are one of the 4 main buffalo of Africa. Africa's got 4 buffalo primary buffalo. There's some sub, you know how we always talk about there's a subspecies and things moving around as we understand the genetics of the creatures more. But Cape buffalo are really kind of a mind of their own, and they're distantly, of course, related to like Asian buffalo and stuff.
Like the water buffalo and whatnot. Yeah,
exactly. And a lot of those buffaloes, though, can be domesticated.
Right. The water buffalo is domesticated.
Mm-hmm.
The African buffalo, I don't know of any that are domesticated.
I think some of their forest. No, not their forest buffalo. I'd have to look up. But the Cape buffalo, people have tried to domesticate for as long as people in Cape buffalo have interacted, and it never goes down well.
Yeah, I couldn't even find any hybrids. So if anybody's out there and knows of any hybrids of Cape buffalo specifically, that are commonly out there,
there is.
I know there's a lot of hybrids with the water buffalo, and also there's the beefalo, which is actually not a buffalo; it's bison and cow. Those are the only hybrids that I know of. But this one is completely
In fact, they used to think that there's something called a forest buffalo that lives in Africa. It lives a little more foresty area that they used to think was related or could interbreed, and now they're finding no, Cape buffalo don't.
Well, they might be able to, but they don't.
Might be. You're right. You're right. Because the forest buffalo looks similar, but they're smaller.
It's which is very common. That tends to happen, especially in Africa, like because there's forest elephants. There's forest African elephants, which are smaller because they tend to be a bit smaller than the other African elephants. But they're just a subspecies out of the whole group. But since they're subspecies, they should be able to interbreed but more than likely they don't because of territorial and
where they are. Because
there's no natural. I mean, that's why they're subspeciated because
they stopped interacting for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what we haven't done yet? We haven't introduced ourselves.
Oh, we haven't introduced ourselves. Oh,
I know. We're 5 minutes in. You guys don't even know who we are. No, you know who we are.
Everybody knows who we are because
you're fans. Everyone loves us.
You know us. We sent you the link.
Well, and for the people who friends sent them the link because we keep getting more and more fans because our friends who we invited to come and listen and like the show are genuinely enjoying it enough that they're telling friends who don't know us to like go and listen. Like we get new fans on our Facebook page. They have no idea who these people are. Yeah. And I'm like, awesome. I want more people to love and enjoy and laugh at what we do.
Yeah. And so the introduction then, I guess.
Yes.
I'm Whitney. And this is Jen. And
hello, everyone. Whitney is a wonderful animal expert. I'm going to use that because he always says loosely, but if we want to look at the whole world, Whitney is in the 99.99% of people.
I'm not that high up.
I think so. Of people who understand animals and the diversity of the ecology. He's done, he went through college. He did internships. He trained. He worked at zoos for decades. So I'm going to put Whitney in the animal expert category. He's just happens to be a very humble and dorky person. So,
Yeah, I also am a big nerd, but yeah.
Total nerd. Okay. Yeah, welcome to the nerd show. I'm just an animal enthusiast. I'm Jen. I love animals. And I love doing this podcast.
Tortoise rescue too.
I do have a giant tortoise rescue. So if you have any Galapagos, Aldabra, or Sulcata tortoises, I'm more than happy to take them off your hands and give them a good home, or find them a good home, or refer you to. There's some wonderful responsible rescues out there. And
actually, one of these days we'll probably just do tortoises or sulcatas or something for you.
We need to
get that knowledge out because I'm not a big fan of the whole pet industry with those guys because
there is some very
too many out there and people don't know how big they get.
Yeah, that's why the rescues exist. Mostly the sulcatas. There's a lot of it. But I had one particular young man who banged on the door today to be let in. A 10-year-old sulcata named Pepe, who unfortunately, due to malnutrition, is a little bit stunted in growth and only weighs about 40 pounds right now.
Oh, wow.
Only 40 pounds.
Yeah, but
yeah. So banging on the door, let him in. And he decided, I will show you all my penis. And I was like, really? That's what you wanted? You wanted to come in? I thought like he was just too hot outside. And he was like, I want to cool off on the time.
He wasn't knocking to come in. He was helping the door.
Maybe that was a sexy looking door to him. This particular tortoise is not near any of the females because he really likes the ladies.
I've seen Testudinese hump weirder things.
I know a lot of people in the sulcata community will like a warm bag of manure. These guys love. And it's just like, well, okay. Chunks of wood, whatever. But I was just like, I'm like, Pepe, God damn it, dude. Because he's just like, look at me in all my glory. And I'm like, if you haven't seen a tortoise penis, go look one up. It really looks like one of the bad guys from what's that TV show?
Stranger Things? No.
Stranger Things, yeah. Like that big flower guy's head.
Oh, yeah.
That's what a sulcata penis looks like.
Yes. Oh, God.
You're like, this is a disgustingly slimy looking kind of orchid. Like,
It was a monster.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Other things. Anyway, yes.
But anyway,
so back to the Cape
we
buffalo,
all love animals.
Big boy.
Yes.
Also,
so Cape buffalo get about 5 to 6 feet at the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
They go up to, of course, everybody likes to inflate how big these Cape buffalo are because, you know, it makes them feel all mighty. I don't know, mighty.
It's like a man with his height. There's always added a couple extra inches in there.
Yeah. Really bad jokes for that one. But Cape buffalo, I mean, they could run from 700 to, you know, 1,800 pounds. They're big. They're big, and so they have, like, one of the reasons I love them is they have the coolest nicknames. Like, everybody, you know, I don't know, I guess not all animals, but a lot of animals have nicknames. But the Cape buffalo, because there is a lot of interaction with humans, because they're not endangered. There's a lot of them in Africa. They're not as many as there should be, just because they
are in the decline. So
they are, because their territory is, of course, being taken over by people. They're being pushed out.
Same thing happening with elephants and whatnot. And,
habitat loss, massive habitat loss. But of a lot of the African animals that we think of, especially the big guys, these guys are doing the best, probably.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of interaction with humans because they do they're a giant bovine creature. So, I mean, I'd eat that. I'm not gonna lie. I look at it and go, that looks like some lean meat.
Yeah, it would be definitely some lean meat. That is for sure.
That would be yummy. So they also are part of, in Africa, there's a group called the Big Five. The Big Five are this group of animals that hunters always want. You know, they want to check off the Big Five African safaris list. And the Cape buffalo of the Big Five is the most deadly. It kills hundreds of people every year. Mostly people who are fucking with it, but still. So they get nicknames for that. Like, they're known as the Black Death. I love that. I think that's great. They're known as the Mob. They've got a nickname. It kind of comes from a physical feature they have called the Boss. So they're all around, just kind of people who know about them, give them respect and give them a little bit of space. Other idiots tend to kind of, you know, sorry, you tourists, but, you know, I'm going to go and touch it.
Well, I mean, we have the same problem here in North America, as we talked about already with the bison. There's people all the time.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, it's just like a giant cow. No.
And also, honestly, cows have been bred to be docile, but when they are not, they will fuck you up.
That's the other thing. Okay, so Whitney and I met at Iowa State University in Iowa, in cow country. And once again, it's like, I came from Chicago area, so I was not really, like, didn't know much about cows and stuff. But some of these, like, Iowa people know about cows. And they have a way more respect for them than, like come from Chicago. Yeah. I'm like, cow tipping. And they're like, no, you don't want to do that.
There's always, I mean, there's a lot of jokes of people who have the slower cousin because he got kicked.
Yes.
There's a lot of
even
jokes.
Domesticated cows can really take you out.
The size difference is huge. So add to that the wild nature of the African buffalo.
Also, the predators that they're used to dealing with. So other members of the Big Five are lions, jaguars, rhinos, and elephants. I don't think...
Things I've worked with: rhinos, jaguars, and elephants. I've not worked with the...
Now, how many of those did you have to wrestle with an erect penis?
Wait,
we have a running tally.
Wait, sorry. What?
I said we have a running tally of animals.
No, I gotta know who had the erect penis, because in none of these situations, I would like it on the record. I did not have an erect penis ever when raised an animal. What the hell are you talking about?
Okay, I'm sorry. The comma should have been better. The animal had the erect penis, not necessarily, but I don't know.
Okay, was the animal in an aroused state? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so check out. We keep a running tally. We'll have it up on our Facebook page, What the Fauna, soon. of engorged animals Whitney has had to wrestle. It's a lot higher of a number than you'd think.
It's not that high.
Dude, it's double digits. We're not even that. I mean, we're not even that many episodes in. It's almost as many episodes as we've had.
So I've never worked
and I consider, and all the dogs, I consider one species. I'm not even going into the variety of species of dogs and cats you've wrestled.
Well, all the jaguars I dealt with, were protected contact, which is the only way I would ever do that, which means there's always a barrier between me and them. And they were all female. So, and none of them were like aroused.
That you know of. I don't know, Whitney. I mean,
technically, I can't know for sure. The elephants were also female. They were not in aroused states. Those were postmenopausal, basically. And then, wait, what else was there?
Lions and rhinos.
Lion, okay, but it wasn't because of me. It was because of the female nearby.
So there was an engorged. Another one to the list. Lions.
And I was, and also once again, protected contact. I would never like direct contact with them. And then the rhino, we had some breeding going on, but I was never actually involved in that scenario either. Okay. So I'm safe there. But I did get a scare from that boy when he came out, because I had to get footage of him arriving at our zoo. So I was there when he came out of the cage, and he was pissed off when he got off the transport vehicle.
I can't imagine. I'm usually pissed off when I get out
it was funny.
Traveling anywhere, much less not know where I'm going in a giant crate.
We're all ready, and the adult female comes out, and she's just like, boop, boop, boop. Oh, this is where I am now? Okay, I'm just going to go right in here then. And she just like chilled the whole time, just I'm going in. That little boy, he was like an adolescent at the time, and he like came out and
We're still talking hundreds of pounds
he just
of
like
giant
ran
cat.
every single thing, and I'm like just there with his horn like inches away from me, just I'm like,
oh, this is the rhino. Sorry, okay,
yeah, the rhino. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, no arousal in that scenario, but yeah.
Okay. The lion, there was arousal. Okay. So anyway,
it wasn't towards me.
Anyway, back to the Black Death, the animal kind. The other one with Black Death is a viral, isn't it?
What? No, the Black Death is
it's bacterial.
Yeah, that's actually why. Well,
okay. Anyway, but this is we're not gonna. We probably will never do bacteria on this show, just because they're so weird. I said probably never.
We'll probably go over some diseases or something.
Yeah,
got
probably.
a few stories involved.
So anyway, the Cape buffalo, you look kind of like, oh, big cow. No, they're. Oh, I'm sorry. You did talk about. Okay, so we're gonna bison buffalo.
Yes.
In America, North America, we have
those
bison.
Yes, bison. I've almost been killed by a bison, not by a buffalo.
Okay. No, you were on the gate somewhere and you were almost killed.
Oh yeah, because
buffalo were ramming.
We were rotating. Basically, the preserve here has to catch them all up, and the land can only handle so much, which is a problem with all these types of control things. You have to have a culling with things like even with the African buffalo if they're in a preserve, because if they overpopulate it, they will take out all
they'll decimate all the food, and then they'll all starve.
Then that ecosystem falls apart. And yes, normally we would like to have them
eat them,
roam around and do naturally. But the thing is, because of all the encroachment of humanity, there's actually a saying in the animal world, like conservation world, there's actually no elephants that are outside of a fence on the planet anymore. It hasn't been for decades, and people don't realize that. They think
sad.
Yeah, so
you know what? But at the same time, that's probably true of American bison.
American bison, basically, yeah, they're all in a contained scenario. They're either in a park
which there is something to celebrate.
Yeah.
We are recording this episode in July of 2024 or 2024.
It's June. Huh? It's June.
Oh, it's June. Oh shit. I've been sick. Anyway, and a couple days before a American white albino bison was born.
Oh yeah, there was.
It was legendary you know, they're kind of...
It happens every once in a while, yeah.
Yep. An albino, but they're considered very sacred to the, I believe it's the Lakota indigenous people in America, and whomever. Yep. But whoever it is, I hope the bison lives a good long life and is protected and taken care of. But it's a little bit of a celebration, kind of an ooh.
Yes, it will die soon because the problem is with the albinos, they usually die quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of recessive going on to create an albino. And usually when there's a recessive amount... It's
not necessarily just that. It's also just the fact that they go blind early because the pigments in the eyes aren't there to protect from UV.
A lot of them are deaf. A lot of albinos.
Yep, there's a correlation between a deafness with it and then a few other ailments. But those, I believe, are due to the... well, with genetics, there's literally a thing where certain genes are just close to each other. So the chances of them being separated are low because they're just close to each other on the DNA strand.
Now, everyone who's listening, remember 10 minutes ago when I said Whitney was an expert and he said he wasn't?
I'm not an expert. We learned this in college. This is college level shit.
Yeah, some of us didn't retain it, okay?
But anyway, so yeah.
Some of us don't all of a sudden be like, oh, well, let me explain. Anyway, but yes. So
you made me almost spit out my cafefe.
Your cafefe? Oh, poor
You're gonna have to switch to beer.
It's late enough. Do it, man.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, but so in America we have bison.
Yes.
They're called buffalo, but it's another one of those things like we did an episode on the turkey vulture in America, and the vulture is not a buzzard, but people came from the old world or like Europe, Asia and stuff. And they came to America and just started using terms. They're like, hey, that looks like what we have back home, which they call the buffalo.
Yeah.
It's not, but you know, once again, vulture. It's like what we have back home. We call them buzzards. It's not, but yeah, whatever. Yeah. So I read somewhere how to tell the difference between a bison and a buffalo.
They don't look anything alike.
I know. I was sitting there. I was like, really? But apparently the biggest way you can tell them apart is bison have a beard and buffalo do not.
Yeah, and also the way that the horns come off usually.
Oh, a ton about the horns, yes, but
you know. The horns are like actually on top of the skull of the buffalo, where with the bison they're just kind of coming out like two horns. Yeah,
but they are technically horns. Some episode will go into the difference between, because there's a lot of difference between.
Well, we can talk about the difference horns, right now.
Antlers, all this stuff. But
so a horn is basically just a bony offshoot that comes out of the skull, more or less. It's there forever. It's always there.
You don't shed them. You
don't shed them. Antlers are also a bony protrusion, but they grow every year and then they fall. They're covered with a felt for a period of time, and then they fall off at some point in time every year or annually. And then there's also the things that are near us, which are kind of both, because there's the pronghorn, or also known as the American antelope, which those have both the bony horn that stays there, but they also have a sheath on top that sheds, and then they kind of have both.
Now, what are giraffes? Are those considered horns on top?
Those are
different, because those are skull,
I believe is the term.
Yeah, those are part of the skull.
Yeah, they're just protrusions from the skull. I believe those are called ossicones.
But all these things, you know, in the world of fauna, all these things are differentiated. Now, the Cape buffalo has an awesome set of horns, which they don't shed them, so they are true horns, but they're made of keratin, and they grow as the animal grows.
Well, the outside of all horns is keratin.
Yes. Yeah. They fuse, though. They continue to grow, and then the two horns on either side eventually fuse together in the middle. And lock into build this big
on top of the head.
This big horn plate. The male's typically bigger than the females, of course, but they fuse right around sexual maturity, because they do fight with each other with the front part of their horns. Now, the beautiful thing about I think the amazing part about Cape buffalo horns, though, is how they have evolved. So they have the big fuse boss on their head, where they use to kind of headbutt and get dominance with each other.
Show who's big and strong.
Yep. Very, very goat-like, I think of it.
Beer 20.
Yes, enjoy your beer. Anyway, but they come out across the head and then they hook up. And that hook is incredibly important for self-defense. They don't use the hooks on each other. They don't, use them on...
You can look on YouTube and find them fighting with lions, and what they like when they face each other, they're head on head, like
it's almost like they have respect for each other. They're like, I'm not gonna hook you because I know that's really
and then
bad.
Then when there's a lion, they turn their head so that the hook point part just
they do a twist.
Sometimes there's some that you can see, some of those videos, you see the
lion got
fucked up. You see their intestines hanging out.
They'll fling a lion. They'll catch it with that hook, and the hook is not really meant to be a stabby hook. It's more of it will catch your skin and slash it and rip it open. But they do that, and they're so big and they're so strong. They will fling these lions a good 15 feet in the air.
And speaking of dumb bitches, there was one not too long ago. There was we were talking about tourists that go up to them. There was a woman who got flung like 15 feet by one of these guys because she got
so what they do is this is their defense: is they'll hook you, fling you, but they're not done. Then they're going to trample you to death.
Yes,
that's their main defense. They'll do this to lions, jaguars, hunters. This is what happens to hunters. Actually, I did read about one female hunter who the Cape buffalo caught her in the spine and dislocated her spine with its hook. Yeah, she lived somehow. I'm like, if she lived, then she came out of it as good as it could be. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Cape buffalo was busy stomping. It was one Cape buffalo versus a group of hunters, so it was busy stomping some other hunters and didn't quite come back to her.
Right.
Until they shot it, I think 9 times in the head.
That doesn't surprise me because, like, A, the animal's huge, and B, there is that big, massive, bony structure. So it's like it takes a lot. I remember one time we did a drill at our zoo, and we invite like the police and the fire when possible or when we need to, and we mimicked an elephant escape. And basically, we had somebody in just one of those ATV carts, and that basically was labeled elephant. And we had
I love that. I want to be the elephant cart. I want to drive around like, I'm an escaped elephant.
The officers pulled out their hand pistols and started like pretend shooting at it.
You're like,
and we're like, that's not going to do shit. So, like, of course, something like that's going to, once they're pissed off.
These guys were actual hunters, so they had
the right.
They had the right equipment.
Yeah.
But you're also talking about a giant 2,000-pound thing that can charge at like 35 miles an hour.
And both the bison and the buffalo are a lot more agile than people think. They will turn on a dime. If you're driving next to them at 40 miles an hour and they're going, they can in a split second switch 90 degrees and change their entire inertia and slam right into you. I've seen it happen.
These guys are used to taking on 8 or 9 lionesses at a time.
Well, not to a vehicle. I saw them do that turn though.
Packs of hyenas. I mean, and I sent Whitney a video right before this. In a wild preserve, there was a juvenile rhino and a Cape buffalo.
I saw that video. I didn't read anything. I'm like, that looks like a year or two old. Like that's it
wasn't a full grown rhino. It was, but they were like sparring together in kind of almost a respectful manner. Like it was like 15 minutes of sparring, the two of them. Yeah. But neither the rhino nor the Cape buffalo was really trying to hurt the other one.
Yeah.
It was more that the head ramming, but they were kind of working with each other. But this is a creature big enough to live among rhinos.
Yes. And honestly, they do in the wild. The thing is, with preserves, it's something like that's only going to happen at like a preserve or whatnot, because otherwise the Cape buffalo will just leave. But they can't.
And that's what rhinos don't travel in herds typically. Cape buffalo. Typically, I said typically. I gave myself an out. Shit.
Okay, white rhinos do, black rhinos don't.
Okay.
So we had black rhinos, which the reason we had black rhinos was because we couldn't house them in a group. White rhinos, we have to be a more humane housing, you have to basically have like 4 to 6 of them. Yeah. One male and then a bunch of females. So yes, rhinos do herd.
Okay.
Just depends on the species.
I sit corrected because I'm not standing up for your shit.
The black rhino does not. The white rhino does.
Okay.
Actually do that, but not as big as like. Now it's not a massive herd. As I said, it's only like 4 to 12, 3 to 12 kind of.
You have to think about how much decimation to the
environment
they can do. Well, they can't be in herds of 1,000 because there just wouldn't be
elephants
enough food.
Elephants do.
Oh, that's true. But elephants are so cool.
Yeah, elephants do. Well, elephants do if they can. Which that's actually one of the reasons. Well, we can talk about elephants, but that's one of the reasons why elephants breeding programs didn't work out, was because it turned out if they're not in a large enough group, they're not
gonna mate.
The females will not go into estrus if the group's too small. Which there's a lot of animals that do that. So,
the Cape buffalo, they do different. We talked about this with orcas and stuff. They do different groups where they'll be in like a smaller herd with one primary male, about 10 females, and some of the babies. That's kind of like their smaller, grooving around family. But then they'll meet up with another group. There'll be about 50. They'll meet up with even more, and there'll be hundreds. Yep. And they'll take the mix, rotate, hang out with each other. But these guys drink a tremendous amount of water. They're rudiments. So they eat a lot of the grasses and then they let it ferment. And with that fermentation in their gut, they need a lot of water. Yep. So, there are dry seasons in Africa. So they tend to, during the dry season, all congregate around the water source. And, oh gosh, what is the video called? It's a great video where you're going to see.
Are you talking about the one where they're big round?
Oh, yeah. Where there's a whole there. I mean, there's hundreds of Cape buffalo and they're going down to drink and there's crocodiles.
There's crocodiles. No, you're not. Sorry, I was thinking of the cartoon where it's the buffalo, but they're all like ballooned and then the alligators.
Oh, ballooned. I love those. I love the balloon. We'll have to find out what those are. But this is an actual real video that some tourists took. And these Cape buffalo are all standing in mass in their gang formation, shoulder to shoulder. And they're kind of like, a couple of them go down to drink. And inevitably a crocodile just seizes a chance and grabs one or tries. And you're like, oh, shit. No, that Cape buffalo ain't down. And his brothers and sisters around him is like, oh, no, we're going to fuck up your day, crocodile. This is the scariest part about these creatures. They work together. A lot of times with prey animals, you snatch one deer and the rest freak and spook and run. These guys don't. Yeah. They come in a mass.
Their survival method is make sure nobody... Their survival method is the same method that people do in the prison, just beat the shit out of the biggest guy and just scare the fuck out of everybody about you.
Yeah. So you've got now the crocodiles, and the crocodiles kind of have a Cape buffalo. Kind of. He's still alive. The rest of the Cape buffalo are, because it's kind of a ledge too. They're kind of trying to spar off. Then you're like, oh shit. Then the lions show up on another flank of the Cape buffalo. And it's like, oh, take advantage. Fuck this. All in all, though, I mean, it's a longer video. I think it's called like the Battle of the Tuskegee.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
Yeah, and so look it up. It's great. Let me tell you, the Cape buffalo earned their reputation that day. No Cape buffalo died. Other creatures died. Lions, crocodiles. A lot of stomping happened. Like one Cape buffalo might have died of infection that got caught and dragged down by the crocodile for a little bit. But
Battle of the Nile.
Battle of the Nile, is it?
Yeah, because that far north. Crocodile. It's not. It wasn't a Cape buffalo. I was like, I don't think that's a Cape buffalo. That was a African buffalo. Yes, but it was not a Cape buffalo.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to look up because the other one is that one. That doesn't sound familiar. It also
makes sense for the crocodiles.
Okay. The one I'm thinking of is the Battle of the Kruger.
Battle of the Kruger.
Yeah, the Battle of the Kruger, where the crocodile tries to steal, like it's a
Battle
lot.
at Kruger. Yeah, there you
go. Battle at Kruger. So check that one out. It's Kruger.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
You Kruger, like
really
our former
Freddy Krueger.
No, or wait, was it? Oh no, wait. What was our boss's name with the stagehanding?
Oh, something like Kim. Whitney and I went to college together, by the way, for people who are new and don't know
this. That's how we know each other.
That's how we know each other. It's been 20 years.
Yes. We worked concerts for a living.
Yes, we were kind of local roadies with a great group of people where we met a lot of people and a lot of friends. So anyway, so the Cape Buffalo, though.
Oh, this is South. So this would be Cape Buffalo. Yes. Kruger.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, Kruger. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. You know, sure? I might be the idiot savant on this show, but sometimes I'm right. Whitney, it's so surprising. Look, Jen's right again. So these Cape Buffalo, so they'll work in mass. But the other thing, the reason that they're so deadly to hunters, and, you know, once again, we're seeing more and more documented, but it doesn't mean that this behavior is necessarily new. It just means that we're now documenting it and writing it down and like saying, hey, this really happened. So they're the most deadly predator or deadly animal that hunters go after usually. A couple years ago, a Cape Buffalo killed the president of the Mexican Hunting Association. Oh, gee darn. He went down to Argentina to kill one, and it gored him to death. Once again, ripping with those horns and stomping. So that's bad, but it's not the worst. A lot of times, like the locals who are around these Cape Buffalo say, you have to kill them. If you shoot one, you must kill them. There's now documented evidence of hunters shooting a Cape Buffalo, not killing it, and then it tracking them for days. They don't have the best vision, but their sense of smell is amazing. They will track a specific hunter that hurt them for days and then ambush him. It's also, they're not, I mean, they've got, 40-mile-an-hour ramming speed, but if you shoot one, you hurt it. They'll back up, get back into the tall grass, and then they'll circle around you and come up from behind. So they're actually really intelligent for how they're defending themselves. It is almost like that tough guy mentality, like, I'll teach you never to do this again.
That's interesting.
It is. And then the most recent thing that's been noted is one guy shot and killed one Cape Buffalo. And the buddy next door, I don't know if they were brothers, best friends, what. The buddy who didn't get hurt and didn't get shot tracked the hunter to the next day and killed him out of like revenge for his friend. So most of the time that people are hunting these guys, they're hunting what's called the Dugga boys. So, normal fertilization, there's a 50-50 chance of females and males. However, you end up with a group of like 10 females and one male. So you end up with a lot of these roan males. They form little groups when they're younger of Dugga boys, kind of like lions do.
Well, this is basically every one of these large group breeding situations where there's one or two primary breeding males. Yeah, all the rest get kicked out.
Yeah, and they'll kind of hang out and like kind of take their space away, or like they'll be a little bit farther away from the main herd or the main gang.
Yeah.
Some of the younger ones, but then there are these older ones.
Tend to be teenagers, which also has an aspect in it.
Yes,
teenagers in every species tend to be more violent.
Well, actually, the most violent to people are the older males that have been in their prime and have now been kicked out. They're no longer the apex. These are the Dugga boys. Those
are the guys who are like, I remember I was a champion football player.
Right? So they're really grumpy. They're really grumpy. They're really unpredictable. And they're usually by themselves. Or there'd be one or two of these other older guys, sitting around wallowing in the mud going, do you remember when we used to have all the women? Yes. Yes, I do. Nice. Yes. And they're almost like, those are the ones the hunters seem to go after. Because you're not going to go after one in a 200 herd. You're going to try and find one that's a little bit on its own.
Yep. Otherwise, the rest of the herd will defend.
Yeah. These guys they seem like they have nothing to lose, though. And they're like, bring it, bitches. They also don't have any, like, rhinos flap their ears and stomp their feet, kind of like when they're about to charge.
Yeah, rhinos are pretty dumb about it too. They're just like, they give you
their intimidation.
I've seen a rhino attack a rock that was too big, and but they have really bad eyesight. So,
so these guys don't do anything like that though. They'll be just sitting there drinking water, seeing you out of the corner of your eye, thinking, "Oh, okay. Oh, they see me. Okay, they'll be fine." Da 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 da. No. You might be in a car 100 yards away, and they just might decide, you know what? Fuck you, and just charge.
And the thing is, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a learned behavior, because there's a lot of animals that learn what guns are, and then like don't want to. They'll run faster as soon as they see something that has a gun-like thing, like a vehicle that they saw a gun get shot out of before, or in this case, I call it it's the Wolverine effect. It's just like, fuck it up,
fuck it up now. Which is, I mean, sometimes in some of the videos you'll see of Cape Buffalo, they're actively going after groups of hyenas or groups of lions because they're just, I don't know, like. Yeah, let's just fuck them up now. Yeah, a preemptive strike. It's still a defense tactic, but it's a preemptive defense tactic. And,
yes.
Motherfuckers.
Son of a bitch.
So, and they're, that's what they talk about. They're just grumpy. So, I mean, that's why I like them, and they're beautiful. I honestly think they're those big horns and stuff are just beautiful. And, one of my favorite cute little facts that I love to share. The babies are called buttons.
Buttons?
Because they've got itty bitty horns that are called buttons. So the little babies get typically called buttons.
That's funny.
And it's, once again, somebody attacks these guys. The females will kind of like make a ring around the babies. They'll push all the babies into the middle, and they'll make a ring, horns out to protect them. Protect their little baby buttons.
Yes, which is a very common tactic with these bovines, and more than just basically any horned animal tends to circle, point everything outward facing, and then protect the baby.
Protect the babies. Well, I mean, these guys, they don't sexually mature, the females, till they're like 3 or 4 years old. Then they're pregnant for a year, like 350 days or something like that. They're pregnant for. Once again, bigger the species, longer you're going to be pregnant. So they're only going to have, maybe max 5 or 6 babies in their lifetime. So, they're really, they're good with their
pretty
kids.
Protective on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the babies are the ones, that the jaguars and stuff are going after. They're like, yes.
Well, jaguars aren't going after them.
I don't know, the babies. If it sees a baby out there.
Well, there's a very large body of water. There's a very large body of water interfering with it.
That is true.
The Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Jaguars
I'm
are
leopards.
South American.
I'm thinking leopards. I'm thinking leopards. Damn it! Yes, Genevieve is always wrong. That'll be our next t-shirt we'll make is Genevieve is always wrong. We'll have Daint and then Genevieve is always wrong.
Yes. For those that don't know, the Daint is the double taint because we found an animal that has one.
Yes. It'll be a new talking point with all your friends.
Yes.
You'll be the most intriguing person at parties or the weirdo who everyone's like,
what the fuck is the Daint? Well,
what the fuck is the Daint? Why don't you go ask that gentleman what Daint means that's on his shirt? Yeah, come buy our shirts, Daint. So I like the Cape Buffalo. The one thing that we need to talk about with the Cape Buffalo are the oxpeckers, because that's the classic. You always see these beautiful Cape Buffaloes, usually around water and mud, and they have the oxpecker, which is a bird hanging out with them. And it's always kind of been historically thought that the oxpecker is picking lice and fleas off them and protecting them and keeping them clean and taking care of them.
They are a symbiotic relationship. It's
they're helping.
Less symbiotic than we previously thought.
And once again, more and more research is going into, and we're finding not always are the oxpeckers helping. Sometimes, in some cases, they've been observed cutting little holes in these creatures.
Thirsty. I haven't had water in a while. Let me drink your blood.
Exactly. Or, you know, they don't go after the all the ticks. They'll go after the big engorged ticks and eat those. But they'll leave the little ones to continue to suck on the blood.
That way they get fluid as well as
and then they get bigger, and then they'll come back. It's kind of like, you know, it's waiting for your raspberries to ripen.
Yeah, so they're not actually removing the
parasites, exactly.
Parasite problem. They're just, they are, yes.
So they could be doing a much better job and taking care of the Cape buffalo much better, but they're not.
Because the thing is, like, everybody, well, you got to remember, everything's out for themselves in nature. Like, true. Altruism, there's always the question of how much altruism actually exists in nature. And right now, it basically doesn't exist, but there are altruistic moments. But when you bring genetics into play, or some benefit to the other, then the altruism goes out the window. Because, like, yes, you might say one animal might save the baby of an unrelated baby in a group. However, the thing is, the whole group is somehow genetically linked. So yes, you are only 1/16 related to that, but that's still 1/16 of genes that you share that are going into the next. So yeah, sorry. Now we go into altruism.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, this was always brought up as, you know, a symbiotic relationship. Look at the oxpecker and the Cape buffalo and
There's no, the bird doesn't give a shit. The bird is out.
It's actually a parasite that eats parasites, but also, you know, they always thought, oh, well, it's helping keep the wounds clean by picking the dead skin off and all that stuff.
Wounds.
It's creating the goddamn wounds. It's like, let me use my little pecky beak and tear you open. I mean, I'm sure there are some cases where it's like, I don't know, there's a tick there's a tick in the water or the buffalo's nose, and he's like, could you get that? And the oxpecker does. And, you know, that's
I think helpful. There could be, I mean, there are more studies and whatnot, but there could be a net benefit for the buffalo.
Yes.
But the thing is, there is a cost for this relationship to some level, shape, or form. So, because they don't seem to go crazy about the birds being on them. Like, they don't.
Yeah, they're not like
not actively trying
to
stop them from being on them. So, which they could start rolling every time one of those birds gets on.
Well, I mean, they do cover themselves in mud a lot to help keep them cool and everything. And that does help keep a lot of the insects away.
Right.
As well as possibly the oxpeckers, depending on how, like, thick you coated the mud.
Get through the mud, no problem. That's the thing. Like, the oxpecker can get through. The parasites can't, but the oxpecker could easily just peck. So
maybe it's you know, the Cape buffalo are like building this big mud sheet over them, and the oxpecker comes in like, would you stop fucking that up? I just made that.
Yeah.
Assholes.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. So right now there is around 500,000 adult Cape buffalo. Those are conservative estimates. Excuse me. So it's near threatened. Not positive, no, because I mean numbers change daily and they're kind of hard to count.
The thing is, all African buffalo are at 400,000.
Okay, so then this is one. While the largest of the most populous of the subspecies, it's probably all right. So there's probably a lot less.
A lot less, because I'm like, there's total of all the subspecies combined 400,000. So,
and these guys are used a lot for like bushmeat. We've talked about a couple times.
Yes. Which well, did we talk? Yeah. So bushmeat is basically when a city, town, tribe in Africa is hunting for their own food.
It makes it sound like it's something bad, but it's like, this is just what they do.
Yeah, bushmeat is.
It's similar in North America. We go out and like deer hunt. Same thing,
right? And the thing is, they are. So this is like when we were doing the elephant campaigns, because they're also like, these guys are technically near threatened, which means they're not doing great, but they're not vulnerable or endangered. But they are declining over time because of all the things we said. And there is a bushmeat effect. And at one point in time,
I hardly think that's impactful almost at all.
Right. Nowadays, no. And there's been lots of programs to kind of like, hey, let's do this in a method that works for the future. And also there's been a push for ecotourism to basically create an economic benefit to have these things around for those communities, because that's the problem. A lot of these early conservation efforts were very white man oriented. Do this or else.
Yeah.
Versus how is this supposed to help the community that actually is dying and needs food and all that and living. But so bushmeat is one thing, but now the thing is you have warlord issues for some of these species. So what they do is they have militarized weapons. So they go in with like this is what was going on.
And kill a bunch of them to
they just go in
destroy
with
a food
guns,
stores.
Clear the whole thing out, and then just take what they want for the black markets and leave the carcasses to rot.
Because the horns are used in are used for like traditional medicine, so to speak. You know, it's
people hard-ons, right?
Yep, there's another one that, you know, grind up some of it and get yourself hard-on for it. Humans use a lot of poor animals for hard-ons. It's really just get over yourselves. But actually, so what happened in the 19th century was a lot of cattle were brought to Africa because they're like, hey, we want more food. But with that cattle came a lot of bacteria and viruses. One called Rindpest, I believe, is the term. It's a Rinderpest. It's a virus that's usually almost always fatal in hooved animals. So this is the 19th century that was brought in, decimated the Cape buffalo. But then they started coming back. Their numbers got back up, and that was great. And now we're fucking them up again. It's like, assholes. So they usually are susceptible to most things that hooved animals are, like foot and mouth disease, bovine tuberculosis. So once again, not only were we taking away their habitat, but we're also bringing in new viruses and bacteria to compete. Yeah. And these are things that these animals have never had to worry about. You know, they don't have the antibodies or the immune system to handle it.
They didn't evolve with those around. So
exactly.
Normally something like that would slowly join the population, but with the way that we travel with things in the world, it's escalated things immensely.
Yes. Now, these guys they're really very necessary for the ecology of Africa as well, because of the wide variety of grasses that they can eat. They'll eat tons of grasses, brushes, everything. And then after they eat all of that, it allows new growth of new species. It's almost like a species diversification that's allowed after they come in.
This happens a lot even here. Oh, she's attacking her microphone.
I'm flailing wildly. Can you tell I'm Italian? I can't talk without my hands.
Talk without the hands. Like, So, yeah, I mean, this happens a lot with these bovid species, because that also happens here in North America with cattle and even with bison. You need to have those. You have to have that bovid. Like when we're doing land conservation efforts, we usually, since we basically made the American bison go extinct. We've had to actually utilize cattle, but the problem that we find is like cattle ranchers only want the cattle eating stuff, but there's other animals like prairie dogs and things that also help with the growth, but the way that they chew and eat. So you need like that whole variety, and you need them chewing it all down. But everybody views it as, but is it going into my cattle so that my cattle get bigger, and then that creates more conflict between the
and there is a lot of, I mean, Cape buffalo they're a little bit like elephants, and they will just smash through fences. They don't care. You know, humans like, this is my land. The Cape buffalo are like, well, you can just
There's food over there. Off. I'm hungry.
What are you gonna do? Oh, electric fence? They don't care.
I wonder if the beehive thing works for them too.
The beehive thing? What is the beehive thing? I think you mentioned this with elephants once, where
so elephants, they found a way to keep them out. Was they found out that elephants really do not like bees, so they actually would put they came up with a method to help the farmers keep their farm safe by putting beehives at various corners and then a wire that would connect them. So if the elephant hit the wire, it would piss off the bees. The elephant, and the thing was,
you know what? And that's great for pollination. That's another food source. That's an amazing.
And the elephants hate them so much, which is what was weird, is because
elephants have thick skin, so I would
this shows how venomous that venom actually is, because elephants feel it and they hate it, and they remember once they find a beehive, they stay away from that forever. After that, they're like, "Oh shit, no, fuck this."
Well, because Africanized bees have a different.
Well, Africanized bees are a hybrid between the honeybee and the European honeybee and the African bee. Okay. So these are just
the straight African bees.
African bees. These are just,
so these guys are.
They're more aggressive. Which is the problem with the hybridized, because they were trying to get a higher honey production, but then it turned out all they did was the same honey production, but just very angry honeybees. And then they let them loose.
You know what I didn't talk about is, I talked about all these terrible predators and things that these Cape buffalo have to live with, and I left out probably one of the most deadly in the world.
What, bro?
The hippo. These guys are competing with hippos for water.
Yep.
That's a shit show. I don't know. I'll have to look it up after the episode if there are any Cape buffalo hippo encounters.
Honestly, I don't. There probably are at some point.
There probably are, but I don't.
But I don't. The thing is, I don't think that they compete. And I think the hippo probably wouldn't give a shit about them, because they're not predators. They're true. Just coming for water. The reason they give a shit about people, and they
do get very territorial, though.
They get very territorial, but primarily what they're attacking are things that have attacked them or their young. So anything that they deem as a predator is going to be fucked by a hippo.
Okay.
Or if it's an adolescent hippo, anything that they want to kill for fun is going to be fucked by the hippo. So yes, that would be my guess. I mean, there's always, once again, adolescents are just a violent section of life for every species.
And I mean, hippos are pretty big. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure they're much bigger than.
They're bigger than
than a Cape buffalo. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I don't know if they would even. Okay, I am seeing a couple videos where it looks more like a Cape buffalo comes to the water and surprises a hippo. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'll do a little bit more on that, but I can't really see them caring that much about each other.
I could see surprises, and I could see adolescents just being assholes.
And hippos
are just assholes.
Well, I mean, hippos are kind of assholes. They are assholes.
Hippos are assholes too,
and Cape buffalo are cantankerous, grumpy bastards.
But the buffalo is just going to run away from the water.
Is it like grumpy old men or what? Like, they just fuck with each other occasionally.
I view them as probably just not even fucking caring. They probably, because the buffalo are just there to drink water and leave.
Yeah.
Whereas I really think that they're primarily going to just go after predators, things that would attack them or that they know of. But that
I've seen one in a wildlife preserve of a juvenile hippo and a juvenile Cape buffalo doing the same kind of sparring thing the rhino was doing. They call it the maw of justice, which is just ridiculously a stupid thing. Yeah, they're basically just rubbing on each other, kind of like,
I love the sensationalism of all. That's the thing, is like all these
maw of justice. They're really just two creatures kind of going, "Hey, we're all by ourselves here."
Like even like this conversation that we're having is all because of the sensationalism of, "Oh, these guys are so horrible."
Deadly. Like, I love the fact they're deadly. But they're only deadly to people who fuck with them.
Yes.
Like if you leave a Cape buffalo alone, is
the thing. Like
it will probably leave you alone.
Exactly. They're not actually. That's the sensationalism. Like that makes it out like they're out to hunt people down.
They'll hunt you down. They'll hunt you down if you fuck with them. They're fuck with them or they're friends. The thing is, which I find fun.
I'm still wondering if that's been proven though, because or was the hunter just still in the area? And then they smelled them.
They might have been just stupid enough to be still in the area.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of these ones were like, people are like, "Oh my God, the Cape buffalo ambushed our camp." Okay, one, you're a hunter and you've been out hunting that day.
Yeah.
And two, you expect that the amount of noise you're making is going to repel creatures.
Yes.
Sometimes they're interested and want to see what you're doing.
And honestly, maybe it is a group that got hunted because they can learn. Like I know wild boars and hogs will change their behavior based on hunting. And I could easily see one that's been hunted, a group of these buffalo that have been hunted, and then they decide to, hey, that's a thing that we just want to be gone.
Right.
It's like
they learn, like lion. See that fucker?
They're like one of my dogs, Xanadu. She's a Malinois German Shepherd cross, and which is the reason she's at my house now, because I've been behavioral management with her. Because, as I say, she has what we call fear aggression. It's based on fear. And I tell people, when Xanadu gets afraid of something, she makes it stop.
Right? And that's
what these guys do. They just
a great thing for these guys. Yeah, they're like,
that thing scares me. Let's make it stop. Right? Instead of running away, we're going to make it stop.
We're bigger than it, typically. There's more of us. And we've got these expendable members. The Dugga boys are really kind of the expendables of the group. They're like, we've done our part. We've added to a genetic material.
Yep.
What do you want to do today, Ralph? I don't know. Let's go fuck some shit up.
Yes.
So I kind of like I said, I feel I would love to wallow in mud all day. I mean, kind of clean mud. I can't camp. I'm going to admit my pristiness now. The idea of it, though, makes me...
I can't camp as much anymore.
Yeah, well, the back doesn't like that. The sciatica is a little bit like...
My warranty ran out at age 40.
Shit.
I keep telling my wife that. Sorry, you can't trade me in. The warranty wore out.
Oh, she can trade you in. She just won't make as much money on you anymore.
She can trade me in. There's just not going to be a profit.
The resales, probably.
Oh,
so like, and I can be crotchety with people. I can't wait to be an old lady. Like, you know what? I think I might randomly choose neighbors. Like, there'll be one couple I'll bake them pies and be really sweet to. There'll be another couple just randomly I'll scream at to get off my lawn, even though they're 100 yards away.
Get off my lawn!
Get off my lawn, you crazy kids! I think I'll just do that. And then maybe every couple years switch and start being nice and mean. Just
keep them on their toes.
Keep them on their toes. If they think I'm crazy, they won't fuck with me.
So, today was the Cape Buffalo.
Cape Buffalo.
I think we've run through most of the things for them. Really kind of talked a little bit more because we could subdivide it out a little bit. The Cape Buffalo is the most cantankerous, the largest, the most well-known of the
picturesque, too.
Most of the four,
you see a lot of pictures of them. You see paintings of them because the horns just flow.
They are massive horns compared to some of the others subspecies groups. So, but I guess this is a good place to wrap it up until next time. I think
so. Not as many dick jokes in this episode too. We usually try and do some dick jokes.
No, you tried to talk to you tried to make people think that I'm getting hard-ons with animals though. Jesus Christ.
You know what? You were the one who led your mind down that train of thought.
Your words were not enunciated in the right.
You could have put a comma anywhere in there that you wanted. You chose the emphasis that
you had no comma. You had no comma, madam. There was no comma.
Oh, that's got to be a soundbite someday. No comma.
No, there was no comma.
There was no comma. Fucking was. Maybe. Oh, did we say the show's not for kids?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck that.
This is not for kids.
Yeah, here's your warning. An hour in. By the way, if you listen this far, well, fuck it.
But fuck it. Wait.
But see, where was the comma, Whitney?
Where was the comma?
Where was the comma?
Where's the comma?
But comma, fuck
it. Changes everything.
It changes. What is that? Enunciation. God damn it. Yeah. What was that show? The cartoon show. Enunciation.
Enunciate.
All right. So anyway. Well, thank you for listening to another What the Fauna episode. Send us your comments. Like I said, I always love talking about Cape Buffalo. Just I don't know. I'm a very visual person, so I'm just always like, meh, nah.
Yes.
So we love you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for listening and laughing. My cheeks hurt. Hopefully yours do too, or you're not the right level of nerdism yet, and just fucking work on that shit.
The beer's kicked in.
What's wrong with you? Good God almighty. Anyway, thank you again. Remember, no gods, no masters.